I was about to go on the nuclear power rant. I'm glad you got there
The
first.
internet gets really upset when I do it.
Why? We figured it out.
Why? Because people are f***ing stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
We figured it out 50 years ago, the answer to all of our power problems, and then we got scared.
All the
and never
hippies
revisited
got scared.
Yeah.
Really
okay,
annoying.
so all right, alternative theory. I do think that there's some people that are just ignorant and scared of it. I think there's other people that they want the issue. They don't want green energy. They want communism. And that's why they oppose nuclear, because nuclear would be the cleanest, most efficient, most effective, cheapest long term. There's no question. You start looking at like things like small modular reactors and stuff like that. There's no question that's the future. But then, gosh, what do you do if you can't sell centralized planning of the economy because we're saving the globe?
So that thought is like 1,000 people on the high level.
Yeah.
Everyone below them is just the useful idiots.
Agreed.
It's just, I don't know. All the other green energy shit sucks. Like wind power is god awful.
Yeah.
Iowa's got so many wind turbines. It's insane. Half of them work.
Yeah.
And when they're working, they're so ungodly inefficient. It's fucking insane.
There's a ton in Texas too, like in District 23, and even down, like especially if you go toward like Corpus, there's huge like wind farms and shit like that. You see the blades traveling down the highway all the fucking time, and the idea of seeing this giant diesel truck carting it out one blade at a time, you start to wonder about the logistics.
Well, and the number of oil, petroleum based products that you need to actually keep that thing in operation.
Yeah.
That doesn't grease itself.
Most of them are obsolete by the time they're built. By the time you get all the permits and actually get the fucking thing built, it's 3-generation old technology that's fucking going up.
Well, in Virginia, they passed the Clean Economy Act, which basically gives them an excuse to clear cut forests and carve up farmland to put up industrial solar fields. But then they have the offshore wind piece. And the reason why they can get this through, because all of a sudden we have the big energy companies going in and like, oh yeah, we'd love to do the offshore wind. Why? Because they're guaranteed 10% profit on construction. Anybody want to guess on how expensive it is to build offshore wind off of Virginia Beach?
Shit.
Ungodly.
Yeah.
What was there was a fucking guy, they brought on like a literal carpenter, like the British version of King Trout on the BBC. And this BBC journalist, this
Smoking
big
a
old
pipe.
fat guy with like glasses, was like he like brought on this carpenter like he was just going to eat him alive on air, because it was like some debate over in Britain between using concrete and using wood to construct some building or whatever. And the carpenter's just like, yeah, I mean, wood's more renewable. And he's like, oh, really? You're just going to cut down a bunch of trees to build this building? He goes, yeah, the trees grow back. You ever seen concrete grow? And the dude's just like, all right, we're going to cut to commercial break. It just fucking ends the interview. It just fucking torches him on his own show.
God, I love that.
What is the main, other than like the nuclear meltdowns, what is one of the big reasons they don't want nuclear energy as a whole?
Well, you see, Vietnam happened, and a bunch of people went to go fight Vietnam. And then a bunch of people got out of going to fight in Vietnam because they got to go to college. And then they did a bunch of drugs and rolled around in the mud and fucked each other like hippies. And then they decided that the thing that blew up Japan has to be bad. And then those are all the people that are now college professors. So they got to teach the next generation that nuclear power is scary. That's pretty much fucking all of it.
You have shit like Chernobyl, which led to a bunch
5
of
Mile
nuclear.
Island.
Right. We're not going to bring up the fact that it was because of, I don't know, communism being violently fucking retarded the entire time that led to it. That wasn't it. That had nothing to do with it.
They didn't have the HBO miniseries back then, so it was a little harder to discern what happened.
Story.
But the people literally got scared. We did a photo shoot, an abandoned nuclear facility across from, I think, Louisville, Kentucky at one point. And it was like a facility that was built for like $1 billion, right? And it was almost finished. Like they have the cooling towers. They've got everything. It's a massive facility. And there was a bunch of nuclear regulation that came in after Chernobyl. And they basically were told, oh, yeah, to comply with all these new guidelines, that's going to be another $2 billion to complete it. And they literally walked away. They said it is cheaper to just default and leave than it is to finish this out. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, you wonder why we don't have fucking nuclear energy. That's it.
They've done that surprisingly a lot of times. Washington State, beautiful places to do photos or shoots at, because you can rent them for like $800 for an entire day. And these are
'Cause
You
it's
are
useless
talking
real estate.
everything, like buildings
Wow.
to run it, the big tunnels, or like they'll have like two. How many did that one have?
It was huge.
Yeah.
They
And
let us go into the basement of the cooling towers and shoot machine guns at the fucking concrete, like pillars. Like they're like, we don't care, blow it up. We don't give a fuck.
Wow.
It's cheaper. We're gonna demolish it eventually anyway. They're like, just don't die. We don't care.
But they don't, and then they don't ever demolish it. They will. Washington abandoned theirs in the 80s and then never touched it again. People still use it for photography. I didn't even know that one exists.
It's crazy too, because there's certain buildings you can go into, and they have those old, like, you know, the computer data cards.
Yeah.
The floor is just littered with them. And certain times you can get those like old like photographs that like you just hold up to the light, like the film reels.
Yeah, yeah.
And shit like that. You're like, man, there's probably some like sensitive information in some of this about nuclear shit.
I can't wait till like the government. You know what? Aliens are real. We're gonna put one on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I get to watch Joe Rogan explain to a fucking alien that we've got magic rocks that produce enough power for the entire planet. We just don't use it because people that can't do basic math or have a third grade reading level are scared by them.
Yep.
It's gonna be awesome.
What was the reason the Japanese one failed? It was user error.
It got
Plus,
no.
and
It got
Well,
hit by
a
two.
tsunami.
It got
Oh, yeah,
It
that
got
too.
hit by a record-setting earthquake and then a record-setting tsunami at the same fucking time. All of the safety features fucking were like it took two literal acts of God to
Yeah.
bring that thing to its fucking knees, and
even
it
then-
still turned out pretty okay.
Yeah, even then, it's not like all of Japan. Like Chernobyl was communism. Chernobyl was communism. Like, this is what happens when you put communists in charge of anything.
To be fair, Japan had some nuclear resistance built in.
Oh my god!
They got vaccinated at some point
Yeah.
against it.
They had
booster shot back to back.
Oh, crazy! You guys are putting your heads in your head when I talked about Eric Prince and God.
I'm just saying they had nuclear antibodies. That's how that works, right?
Dude, I did a college history course and we had to debate the ethics of the nuclear bombings, and I made a girl cry in class.
Yeah.
And the internet gets mad when I tell this story, but I don't care because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
She was just like, you don't understand the ramifications of the radiation and the blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you literally don't know what you're talking about, like at all. Like,
Yeah.
here's the municipal website for Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And it's like, they have they study it every year. You could just live there. There is no radiation. It was an air burst. Like,
Look, here's what I challenge people to do: look at a picture of Hiroshima in 1945 and Detroit in 1945, and Hiroshima today and Detroit today, and what do you end up learning? Nuclear weapons are less disastrous than socialism. Like, that's what you end up learning.
this is science.
Wait, did people
Just
think
saying.
there's still nuclear fallout?
Yes. Yes. A significant portion of these college kids think that there's a chunk of Japan that you just can't
That there's a bunch of
fucking go
Japanese
anywhere
babies
near,
still getting like
walking around with
born
3
in
fucking
cancer
heads.
and yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, no, it was an airburst explosion. The nuclear material fucking went kaboom. It's fucking gone. There is no, like, when a reactor melts down, it's because the radioactive material melts and then the radioactive material sits there emitting fucking neutrons for a million fucking years. That's the issue. That shit exploded. It's gone. It's
Wouldn't
like the black
recommend exposure while pregnant, but other than that, like,
Yeah, I'm not saying you should go to like a health spa. I'm just saying, yeah.
you can visit it.
Yeah.
You've been able to visit it for a long time.
like ground zero.
Well, the other thing too, and this is the part where I mean I get in fights with people about this because it's like, yeah, look, I don't like civilian casualties. I don't like when innocent people die. But I also understand
takes only.
But I also understand that if you look at the projected casualty list for invading the Japanese main islands, and if you look at what the Japanese plan was for defending the main islands, they were going to give bamboo spears to 14-year-old girls. Like, this was not, they were ready to fight to the
don't.
death.
You-
This is millions of casualties.
We've talked about it on the
Their
podcast.
entire interpretation is literally, oh, well, actually, what they don't tell you in school is the Japanese tried to surrender before America dropped the atomic bombs, and we just did it because we wanted to experiment. It's like, No, they didn't. They approached the USSR and said, hey, we basically want to ceasefire permanently and leave the entire Japanese imperial government fucking intact so they could rebuild an army and fucking do it again. Obviously, that was never an option. The USSR told them that. That was not them trying to fucking surrender. And then you get all the kids that are like, actually, Japan only surrendered because Russia attacked.
Oh,
really?
fuck you.
Really? Russia attacked northeast China with the fucking Japanese sea in between, and that's why Japan fucking surrendered. Real quick, what was the Russian fucking navy like in World War II? Oh, there fucking wasn't one. I remember, because the only way they were going to be able to shuttle troops was because of the U.S. Operation Hula, where we were going to transport it for them. So shut the fuck up. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But as far as the mainland invasion of Japan, we talked about it on the podcast before, but it's still a crazy stat that like Eli's Purple Heart was made in 1945 when they were expecting an invasion.
Like 1.2 million.
That was
Every Purple Heart awarded since World War II, I think, and still several in reserve, were made anticipating casualties of mainland invasion of Japan.
I've read a lot of war memoirs and a lot of different on the ground person perspectives of different wars and interpretations. By far and away, by 100 miles, my favorite fucking interpretation of on the ground events is reading Japanese people's opinion of when the Marines and the Army showed up during the occupation of Japan right after World War II, seeing the sheer level of just fucking grunt, smoking cigarettes, not giving a fuck, growing a beard, just disheveled, angry to be here. Like, how did they beat us? Just fucking furious.
We have so much discipline.
Some 19-year-old from Nebraska with a BAR, like, I want to go home.
They didn't fuck around.